a bit nervous to even touch this board. We've had a bit of a rough start with the Chilli. So when you look at the first piece of footage for this board, you're going to notice a pink and yellow Chilli under my feet at a right point break, and it was pretty big and chunky, and the board was feeling so good. And then I turned around after one wipeout and saw a lip coming at my head, and pretty much knew instantly that board was a goner, and it was. It snapped in half, as well as snapping the leash and giving me a nice little swim in. Luckily for us, we're close enough to Durban and where these boards are made in South Africa that they got me a freshie, and she hasn't even been waxed up yet. So I'm really excited to get back on this and see. What is interesting is that the replacement came with FCS, and of course normally I'm on the futures, and the set of fins that came from Maish I'll show you when we set this board up, but it comes as a quad with a little tiny trailer, and I have a feeling it's really going to work on this board. It looks crazy, but a lot of the fin setups the Maishes do are a little crazy. It is a really chunky board. These rails are just super thick, and it's definitely got no problem on the paddle department. It's going to be very interesting to see how Dylan, being a lot lighter, is going to handle this board. But when you come down to the tail, this tail is super thin and got razor sharp rails, like super razor rails, all the way up to about here. So if your foot is back here on these fins, it is reactive, and you'll see it in that footage of my first 3 waves on this model. It really turns good, and it feels really nice and solid off the bottom as well. The interesting thing is going to be to see how she handles a bit of hollow. And I did have a few late takeoffs that didn't go right the other day. Surf, and I have to say this board was feeling really good under my feet. I only had like 3 or 4 waves, but I had like 2 nice big bottom turn drawn out calves, and then I took off on one, and it was like a shoulder, so I thought I'd just try to test to turn it as hard as I can, and it just dug like a shortboard. It was crazy. And then I tried to take off on a big set wave. The young gun Dill was on the shoulder, and I was like, you're not getting this one. But I got hammered in the back of the head, made that, and then the next wave just landed on top of me, and leash snapped, board heavily creased, and it's even broken the stringer. I kind of knew it was going to happen when I saw the wave. I knew it was going to happen. But Dark Star on it. Same day, the freshie is about to get dropped off on the side of the N2. So good job, Dark Star. And let's go swap her for a freshie. Sometimes life is good on the regular guy after the bad. Yeah, Rob. It's got some lift in the nose. You'll see it right over there. And it's also got, I think, the biggest tail rocker out of the bunch. So kind of a mix of like a big wave board and a mid is what I'm looking at here. James Cheel saying, he was coming back from an injury, and he wanted something that paddled when he was unfit but could still do sort of big rail turns. And I think he achieved it in this model. I've been really excited to test it. So we had a bit of a rough start, me and the Chilli Midstrength. But I think she's going to go good. So excited to surf this model some more.
Okay, let's try something out.
Chilli Midstrength. So I didn't really get many waves on the board. We had to cut the trip short. I had about 2 or 3 waves and some pretty short, punchy, hollow waves. I think it had the most rocker out of all the boards, and you could feel that like off the drops, like the takeoff. I had 1 turn on it, I think, and surprisingly really maneuverable for the amount of board that's there. I mean, it's a 7.6 by 3 inches, you know. But leaning in for a turn, it opened up very easily. I would have loved to spend a bit more time on it. I think ultimately it's a crack of a board, but unfortunately I just didn't get enough time on it to really review it. But you know, hopefully you'll see it in Kai's clips. Yeah.
Frustrating because you come up to the south coast hoping for like caverns and nice big right points, and what we've gotten is east swell, bad direction, thousands of sardine shoals and really brown water. And what's happened is that the only like really like stable bank in the area, Scotty's Main, the guys have closed the beach. Chilli Midstrength. kind of like that they put a beer can on there too, because I like beer and I really like this mid. Not the board we started with. We've had a good run on the regular guy actually. It's a pretty heavy J-Bay, Mossel Bay, West Coast. No snapped or creased boards yet. The Chilli Midstrength got to be first on that one, and I mean, the moment I looked up, saw that lip coming, I think any board was done. My leash snapped as well. I had to swim in at a pretty scary brown water spot on the south coast with definitely no shark nets, so it wasn't the greatest of times for me. But the waves I had prior to that board snapping, I was already like, wow, this thing paddles in super easy. And it's one of the bigger boards we got here. It's a 7.6. It's got so much flesh through here. It's chunky. Like under the arm, it's like a big board. But the moment you put your foot on the tail, it just surfs so good. You can really lean into it. You can do some big turns. I was able to even do some big lip hits with it. And I mean, it's a 7.6. I'm going for lip hits on it. First session on the pink and yellow version, I surfed it as a thruster, but it comes with a 5-fin box. I see they're doing another mid now online that's 2x1 with channels, so I'm going to be interested to see what that is. The 5-fin though, I've got to tell you, I would go quad. As soon as I put a quad in this board, it just was so fast down the line. Like the acceleration through sections was incredible, and the quad just drove. I've got like a little pinger support fin from the Maishas I was hoping to try, but I haven't put it in yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. With the FCS, of course, always look out for pulling fins out like Jonty. You get those little cracks at the back. Generally why I prefer Futures boxes, to be quite honest. But yeah, I can't, there's this crazy double concave through here all the way up to there. It's got a massive reverse V down the middle of that nose just to funnel the water down the deck. And James Chill says he was coming back from injury, and he designed this board so he could go paddle easily but still sort of surf at a high level and do turns. And I mean, dang, he got it right. This thing just wants to be surfed. It doesn't want to be cruised down the line. It wants to be on a rail. It wants to be doing maneuvers, and I'm pretty sure it'll handle in the barrel too. So I loved surfing this board. I really did. I even tried to surf it more, and the crew told me, no, we need more footage on other boards. So I can't say a bad thing about it. Thank you to Darkstar for replacing the broken one so quickly. That's pretty good service right there, so that's worth noting too. And I was a bit bleak because I really like the pink and yellow, but the blue has really grown on me. And I quite like my little baby blue number here. So I highly recommend the Chilli Midstrength. Cracker overboard.
And then I rode the Chilli. That was on a 4-fin setup. What I really liked about that board was that it gave you the feeling of a longer, more kind of free and easy generation of surfing. More those 70s kind of inspired maybe kind of rides where you do the swooping cutbacks, but also had the performance. So if you wanted to throw it up a little bit, if you stood back on the tail, you could actually throw it up onto the lip. Very nice board, easy paddler, wave count, flipping big wave count, and pretty indestructible. I mean, I threw that onto a couple of closeouts, and I thought I'd be telling the captain, hey, he's got 2 for the price of 1 there, but we ended up with 1 flippin' solid board. It was a nice board. Yeah.
That's the best fun I've had in a long time, eh? So much down the line speed, and you put it on a rail, it just kind of just keeps going around, eh? It just doesn't slow down. I'd like to ride this maybe like a big juicy wave somewhere, eh? Incredible board, great paddle, jeez man. I want one.